Hey champions, today I have for you absolutely amazing new Barbarian, Rend, Charge and Dead Blow setup. But most important part, that this setup can carry you from the early stages of the game till the freaking end game. And the reason is quite simple. Not only you can deal some nice damage, but you can survive shit ton of incoming damage by standing in one spot. You don't have to dodge, you don't have to invade, you have tons of barrier, you have fortitude, you have tons of health. Yeah, you can chunk here and there some medkit, but overall, Jesus Christ, this build is amazing, especially if you're sick and tired from all the whirlwind setups with shouts. Yes, this is like fresh breath of air, because you don't have to use shouts whatsoever and you are still tanky and you're gonna explode nearby enemies as well. But before we get to that, quick word from the sponsor DVING.net. If you need power level up, boost in any kind, gold, you name it, these guys can help you all. With my promo code RBDIV, you will have a 15% discount on absolutely all services on every goddamn game. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate, drop your comment down below in the comment section or contact the operator. But now let's get back to this whirlwindless setup. This was kind of tricky to pronounce, but this is set up really where you don't need shouts to deal some nice damage. It will work in solo and in team play. I'm trying to showcase all the aspects of this setup. Like I said, this will not be the fastest build in terms of dungeon clearance, but it definitely can hold its own. So for the gear, I'm using tough pieces, but the main thing that you should of course increase your ranks of dead blow and survivability. Like on my chest piece, I'm gaining 40% increased ammo for 4 seconds when I'm dealing any form of damage. 40%, oh brother, it's a lot. 40% on Barbarian, sometimes it can be difference between that and life. Trust me, on my hands, each time a core skill, which will be Rend, which is applying bleed effect, direct damages enemy, my next charge or leap deals up to 240% damage. It's absolutely insane damage buff. We're gonna use Rend a lot because Rend in our setup will generate fury. We are applying bleed, we are generating fury, and now we can basically use our charge skill, which is gonna destroy everybody with a 240% damage buff. On my pants, survivability mod, on my boots, direct damage against bleeding enemies has up to 24% chance to stun them for 2 seconds. Really nice, because we're gonna stun enemies a lot and that's gonna stop enemies to attack us. So it's really important to understand that we are applying vulnerability all over the place. We are stunning enemies like you see right now on your screen, so they can't attack us. It doesn't matter that I'm standing in a pool of poison. The key point here, look, again, enemy is stunned, and both of the enemies I'm hitting right now are vulnerable. Bleed is applied, I'm generating fury, and everything is kicking at high cylinders. For the weapons though, I'm using ground stomp perk, which creates earthquake, damaging enemies around me. Pretty goddamn self-explanatory. On my amulet, distant enemies have 8% chance to be stunned for 2 seconds, but the main thing that I'm dealing more damage to stunned enemies. And of course, you should look always on your gear pieces for damage reduction attributes, especially at later on in the game. And on your amulet, for example, you need cooldown reduction and fury cost reduction. On your rings, it's really important to find some crit chance and crit damage attributes. On the weapons though, you have to use axes, because axes will provide you with damage boost to healthy enemies. That's really important. So that's the reason why I'm not using swords in this game. I don't have high crit chance, so crit damage is not that beneficial for me. But to take out enemies with my dead blow quickly or stacking dead blow, I am using of course axes for that increased damage to healthy enemies. On my rings, as you see, I have increased chance by using my Rend, which I'm using a lot, to receive a Fury back. So that's really nice option. My Rend will give me Fury anyways back, but by killing enemies, applying bleed, we are generating tons and tons of Fury. And on my amulet, I'm using, of course, barrier. Damaging an elite enemy grants you 4000 armor. It's absolutely huge buff. 4000 armor is absolutely insane. This is my Paragon board. It's not optimized whatsoever. I just played around and put points mostly into the strength and DPS stats for my skill tree. Of course, we're gonna use Lounging Strike. It's like short leap for mobility reasons. It's really nice. Second skill, of course, Rend to apply bleed effect, and Furious Rend will give us that increased Fury regeneration. So we are gaining Fury non-stop. We are applying bleed effect on our enemies, and our core attacks are kinda nasty by itself, but also simple attacks will gain us Fury. It's overall really nice setup. It took me a while to find all the necessary pieces because, like I said, some gear pieces are really tricky to find. Like one where you're generating almost 240% damage buff to your charge by stacking core skill, which is Rend, and since we have nice attack speed, we're gonna stack it really quickly. On top of that, Stomp will apply damage from our Earthquake and gonna stun enemies. That's really important in the game because on stunned enemies we're gonna deal increased damage. Our charge again is really nice, but our charge is applying vulnerability. So we're gonna charge a lot, and actually you can switch to strategic ground stomp later on in the game. That will help us to basically berserk more with our ultimate skill. So it's really important. At early stages of the game, simply go with the stomp, which are generating your fury for you as well. Later on, go for strategic stomp just to reduce the cooldowns to your ultimate skill, and that will allow us to berserk more, and that will allow us to deal more damage. So it's really nice change later on in the game. And of course, when you're gonna berserk, you definitely need to increase amount of fury you are generating when you are berserking. So like I said, at the early stages of the game, generate fury, but later on, go to increased cooldowns. Slanging strike, vulnerability is really important here because our core, our weaponry skill here is dead blow. So once we're gonna apply dead blow on somebody, next core skill, which is Rend, will apply vulnerability anyway. So that's the reason why we didn't go with Rend's second part of skill tree where it applies vulnerability, because after our dead blow, enemies will be vulnerable anyways. So that's really important to understand. And dead blow has an extra charge, and by killing somebody you will not use your dead blow's charge. It's simple but really effective build.